Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 13 of Hear Her Roar. We are back in the Mic'd Up studios today, a little bit different, but we are still at Mic'd Up in Parramatta, and a huge shout out to Dan and the team for helping us out again this week. A little bit different today. I am not alone in the studios, but I'm not with Rach. I am with another familiar face from our West Tigers TV family. Gary, welcome to your Hear Her Roar debut.
Now, I want to deny that there'll probably be rumours going around that we're in this studio because I own this studio. That's not the case. It was just the convenience of using this studio for Daniel today, so I didn't make you come into this studio.
No, it's very different. I'm looking forward to testing out the space. It's a little bit different, but so people might be wondering, Gary? Why is Gary on Hear Her Roar? So I just want to tell everybody that's listening that if it wasn't for Gary, we wouldn't even have this Hear Her Roar pod. So a couple of years ago, Gary convinced me to jump on an NRLW podcast with him back under the West Tigers podcast banner. And since then, you've been pushing Rach and I to get in here and do Hear Her Roar. So we can only thank you. We can't thank you enough for getting us to this point. So very excited to have you with me today.
Without making it sound like it's just an appreciation society, I do have to say how proud I am of both you and Rach with what you're doing with Hear Her Roar. As you said, we started an NRLW pod a couple of years ago, and mainly because of me, we couldn't give it the attention it deserved. I tried to get you to host it back then.
You did.
I'm really pleased now we got to the point where I'm not hosting the show and that you're hosting it. So it should be a good change today.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes. So on that note, we have a huge show. So you may have seen on socials that we do have an interview with Raecene. So a little bit different today. We'll be playing that for you in a second. And then once that wraps up, Gary and I will be back in here to talk about the NRLW round 2. We'll talk a little bit about the Harvey Norman girls from their round 5 and leading into their round 6 game. We'll have a look forward to round 3 for our West Tigers NRLW side. Before we'll talk a little bit about the guys, we won't spend too much time on them because there is a lot to talk about, especially with a huge start to the season for our girls. But what we're going to do now is we're going to throw straight to our amazing interview with Raecene McGregor that I hope you all enjoy just as much as I had filming it. Hi, Raecene. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. We're so excited to have you as our very first NRLW player for our Hear Her Roar podcast. So how are you today?
I'm awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, we might get straight into it. So firstly, a massive congratulations on reaching 50 NRLW games on the weekend. Looking back at when the competition first started and when you first debuted in the NRLW, did you ever imagine that you would get to this point? And what are you most proud of in the 50 games that you've played?
Thank you very much. Honestly, it's been a journey. I guess from 2018 to now, I never thought that the game would grow as big as what it has. But I'm super excited that it has. Starting from 4 teams to now 12. Hopefully, in the next few years we can maybe go home and away, which I think would be a massive achievement for the women's game before probably starting to expand. But yeah, I think from where we started to where it is now, it's a huge step. And, there's so many girls that want to come over to, NRLW, as we've seen. There's plenty of rugby sevens girls that have, decided to come over. There's Maddie Ashby and Soraya Packy and Tegan Levi. It just shows how big the game is getting and how many people want to be involved in it.
Yeah, it's great. You sort of saw that it felt like we might have expanded a little bit too quickly, but I think over the last 2 seasons, it's really sort of started to show that there is enough talent to warrant the number of teams that we've got at the moment. But I agree with you. More games before we bring in more teams would be my vote, because then we get more of you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
So over your career, you've played in premiership winning teams, you've represented your country, New Zealand, and now you've reached another milestone of the 50 NRLW games. What has been the biggest lesson that rugby league has taught you throughout your career?
Yeah, I guess probably just not taking the jerseys for granted. Nothing's promised to you. And I'm super grateful for every jersey that I've been able to wear in NRLW and also, in the international stage. And I guess it's just remembering that there's plenty of girls that are coming for that position and making sure that I'm staying at the top of my game and, earning every jersey and earning the right to play in that position. So yeah, definitely that.
Definitely. I love that so much. So this year you have come over and joined us at the West Tigers. What was it about the West Tigers that made you feel that it was the right place for you at this point in your career?
Definitely the travel helped. But not just that, I had a really good chat to Sandy last year before, making that decision. And I guess just some of the things that he was saying to me and letting me know like the club is heading in a different direction and, they're having a big clean out and doing lots of things and, they want to start winning. Not, I'm assuming not that they didn't want to win previously, but yeah, that we want to start winning and, there's definitely big plans in place and lots of people that we're trying to get over to the club to make sure that, we have that, planning structure and just those things that he was saying to me really helped me, I guess, helped me get over the line to wanting to come to the club. He's a great coach and he's definitely helped me get back on track this year. Not just him, but, plenty of the staff that are there. But yeah, just super grateful to those people that have given me the opportunity to come to the West Tigers and yeah, just keep learning.
Yeah, so you sort of mentioned there that you've got back on track. So I think a lot of people recognized and noticed in that first game where you ran out in Tigers colours that you have had a massive transformation in the off season. And everybody I've spoken to is just like, wow, Raecene just looks amazing. And you said after the Parramatta game that you also feel amazing. So apart from Sandy, is there anybody else at the club that helped to make the decision to move over to the West Tigers easier?
Yeah, definitely. There's plenty of people that I have to thank. I probably can't thank them all, but a couple of people that I will mention is Rich, our S&C. He put me probably through a little bit of hell there last year in November, but honestly, like at the time it was tough, but I'm so glad that I went through those hard stages because I know I wouldn't be where I am right now today. And also Claire, our dietitian, who helped me, I guess, just get back to making sure that I'm eating the right things and times where I can eat these things and times where probably I shouldn't eat it. Something that I probably haven't really had too much of in the past. But yeah, just super grateful to those people helping me get back on track. I know that I probably haven't, played my best footy in the last couple of years, but coming to this club, I know that I have, a lot of people to thank, but a lot of people also to, reward. And I want to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward and giving my all to this club because, they deserve everything, after giving me this opportunity to come here.
Amazing. So you have only been at the club since November, as you mentioned, so for the start of the preseason, and then we're only going into round three this weekend. But you already seem to have gelled really well with the team, and the girls got around you on the weekend for your 50th game, and you can just sort of see that there's that real camaraderie already in such a short amount of time. What have you most enjoyed about coming across to the West Tigers and becoming part of this group with these girls?
Yeah, we have such a great group here at the Tigers. It's probably one of the best teams I've played in a long time in the sense of probably buy-in. Like we set our values quite early on in the year, and I feel like everyone has stuck to those. All 30 of us, not just the girls that are playing week in and week out. Obviously, I know it's only about to go into round three, but the first two rounds that players have missed out on. Obviously, we can only have 17 play each week plus 18th and 19th person, but so there's a few girls that do miss out and have to go back to Harvey Norman and play. But if it wasn't for those girls, we also wouldn't be driving to where we are right now. So I guess it's just everyone getting around each other. Like we have on Mondays, we have a little session where we just pay tribute to each player, or not exactly each player, but to some of the girls that we think that have lived by those values for that week. And I think that's really important, whether you're in the team or you've just missed out, that we pay tribute to those people, because at the end of the day, we wouldn't be playing our best footy if it wasn't those girls pushing us to get to the best to where we are right now.
That's one thing I've noticed this year is the depth looks like it's there. Like there could be anybody starting in that 17. Watching the trial those couple of weeks ago where sort of the starting 13 only played for that first kind of 25 minutes, but then the intensity, the drive, nothing fell away once those sort of benched and those depth players came out and took the field. And that was really exciting because I think we're sort of seeing a little bit of the opposite with the boys at the moment. You know, we've been struggling with injury and so it's really, really nice to see and to hear you say that those girls that aren't quite in that 17 at the moment are still pushing for those positions and that's what you need in a football team is you need people competing so that you do have the best of the best that's available out there from week to week, sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Because exactly, because injuries do happen. So, it's important that those girls are still, keeping their head and making sure that they're still pushing hard to get into that 17 because
Hmm.
exactly injuries do happen. We've seen it with Bucky, unfortunately.
Yes.
Shoulder in the first round now. Faithy's moved to 6 and, there's plenty of opportunities. So it's really important that girls keep, striving to be in that 17.
That's right. And even Namoy, so we had Charmaine on the pod a couple of weeks ago, and she told us, keep an eye out for Namoy. She's going to be a superstar. But she didn't think she was going to start so early in the season. And then injury to poor Rukia after 12 months on the sideline. And
Yeah,
Namoy, I think Rukia is going to have a tough run to get back in that starting side. Namoy has just done such a great job at 19 years of age. It's incredible what she's been able to achieve. Is there
yeah,
anyone who
definitely.
surprised you with what they're like off the field as well as on the field?
Yeah, definitely Faith. She's someone that I didn't realize that was going to be such a good halves, let alone hooker, let alone probably anywhere that she could play. Seriously, she could play anywhere. She's, scored a hat trick for us last week. She was at 6 and then moved into hooker, scored 3 tries. She's been huge for us. And I think, yeah, she's not just an amazing player on the field, but she's an absolute legend off the field too. And yeah, all credit to her. She's worked super hard in the preseason and she deserves everything she's getting.
Yeah, that was so incredible, her game on the weekend. She just took that game by the scruff of the neck and she was like, "Yep, I'm gonna get gonna get it not one but 3 tries." It was really quite incredible.
Yeah.
So now that you've moved across to the Tigers, we have players like Kezi and Salah who have been at the Tigers since the beginning, and we've now also brought in a few other experienced players, but you would definitely be up there with one of the most, if not the most experienced player now in this squad. How do you balance leading by example with what you were just sort of saying, giving the younger girls the confidence to be able to play their game as well?
Yeah, I guess I don't know if I give maybe the younger girls so much the confidence, but I probably take the pressure off them. I know, I guess, that's why Sandy brought me to the club is I'm very vocal when I'm on the field. That's something that I've always been is, some not just in that leadership, but in that role of the halves, like making sure that I'm telling everyone where to get to, what points we're getting to, where we need to be on the field, how we're going to get there. The next play, I think that's probably helped, I guess, the younger girls feel a little bit more comfortable and being able to just play their game and not having to worry about getting maybe that direction around when I'll get them around the park and you just worry about what you have to do.
Yeah, fantastic. So with your game in particular, as I said, you've just played your 50th game. You've played for your country multiple times. You've won the Dally M. You've sort of done everything in the game. But have you set yourself any goals coming into this particular season, and how do you feel that you're tracking towards them at the moment?
Yeah, definitely have goals. I probably said to a couple of my close mates last year that my goal this year is to get Dally M halfback of the year. That's something that I'm definitely striving towards this year. I just want to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward for not just the team, but for myself as well. I know that I have a lot to prove this year. I probably didn't, play my best footy last year, and I'm just like I said, super grateful to Sandy for giving me the opportunity to come to this club and hopefully put my best foot forward and keep striving. And I know it's World Cup this year too, so I want to make sure that I'm doing my best, and I want to be in that team at the end of the year.
Yeah, nice. It'll be a hard one at the end of the year. It's like, because with the World
Yeah,
Cup, we'll have girls. You would hope we've had girls, across all teams. So it'll be amazing to have representation from the West Tigers across all teams in the World Cup, and then you can pick anybody to cheer for.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So coming into round three, 2-0, two big wins, a massive win against Parramatta at Combank in the first round. and then a big win again up in Townsville on the weekend against the Cowboys. You guys have just shown some really exciting signs already this season. I don't know if you see anything on social media, but you were giving the West Tigers faithful hope this year. Um, as I said, we're sort of struggling a little bit with the boys. We started strong there as well, but sort of have tapered off a little bit. But what gives you the most confidence about what this team can achieve this season?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's awesome to win those first two games, but our biggest challenge is this weekend against the Broncos, the reigning premiers. We know that. And, we spoke about that on Monday. Obviously, we enjoyed that win on the weekend and we soaked that in. But, coming in Monday, we started speaking about the Broncos and we know that we have a big job and a big test this week. And if we want to really cement our position in this competition, we need to come out here on the weekend and show show the Broncos that, we're a force to be reckoned with. And, we've been working really hard and we can't wait for that game this weekend. But yeah, I guess the biggest thing for us is just consistency. And obviously, we know the men, they haven't been doing too well. And, that's unfortunate. And we don't want to be like that. We want to make sure that, yes, obviously we're winning games, but just staying consistent and sticking to the processes and making sure that we're doing all the little things right. And hopefully, in these next couple of weeks, we know we've got some tough games and hopefully, the fans can rally around us and, we can get the win for them.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely all be out there at Leichhardt next weekend against the Roosters. Unfortunately, I looked at flights to get up to Brisbane, but because it's the last weekend of the school holidays, the flights were insane.
I
So
believe it.
unfortunately, we'll miss this one up there. But thinking about the squad and how the season started, and we've already mentioned that there's been a few injuries. So Rakia, Bucky, as you mentioned, Tarina, and Harmony are sort of going to miss quite big chunks of time. Where do you think that the team can realistically finish if everybody or if majority of the team stays healthy for the year?
Yeah, well, the goal is top four, definitely. I mean, that's the biggest thing for us. Obviously, we're just taking each week as it comes right now. But I know that, the team and the club, the realistic goal is, if we can get to that top four, anything can happen. I know finals footy that I've been there before and it doesn't matter what team you play and it's who wants it the most when it comes to those last dying games. And yeah, we're just going to keep playing as hard as we can and working as hard as we can at training and making sure that everyone can stay as fit and healthy as possible. And hopefully we don't have too many more injuries and, we can stick with our strongest side and, yeah, get some more wins.
Yes, amazing. So one thing that's always stood out for me with West Tigers games in the past against the Dragons, now you're on our side of the fence, is your family support. I remember the first time we played you guys at CommBank, and I was like, oh my gosh, where is that voice coming from? And it was your mum. And then again at
Yeah.
Leichhardt last year, I think it was last year in the pouring rain.
Yeah.
And I think I
Yeah.
can't remember, but it was a milestone game again for
Yeah, it
you,
was my 40th.
your
Yeah.
40th game.
Yeah.
And because it was raining so much, there were very few of us there that night. But your mum was there and your little family crew with their shirts. And then the first game at CommBank, we were actually right up the back in the stands, like 26 rows up on the second level. But Linda and I went down and introduced ourselves to your mum and your family in the first half and stood with her for a little while before halftime. And just what an amazing support network you have. How important is it to you that your family has been with you throughout your whole rugby league journey?
Yeah, they're honestly the biggest supporters. As you know, you probably heard, you hear my mum before you see her for sure. She's always been at every single game, no matter where it is, whether it was in Townsville last week or Brisbane next week, she's always there. So yeah, I'm super appreciative to not just to her but my dad, my sister, my wife, all of the people that rally around me and, support me. I've got a great support network and I'm very lucky to, I guess, get to do what I do because of those people around me. So yeah.
Yeah, mum said she's probably doing a little bit more of the cooking now as well.
Yeah, she moved in with me early last year. So yeah, she's been a massive help to me. Definitely probably helping with the diet too.
Yeah.
Cooks. Yeah, her and dad, they cook for me every night. I just give them a little call when I'm leaving training and say, hey, I'm on my way home, guys.
Yeah.
And the dinner's ready for me on the bench when I'm home. So yeah,
So
really lucky to
amazing.
have them with me and super grateful.
Yeah, we're very, very excited to hang out with them at Leichhardt and get that crowd pumping for that Sunday night game against the Roosters. So we'll be there. Do you hear everything that they say? Like, because your mum basically doesn't stop through the whole 70 minutes.
Yeah. I definitely hear her the whole game. I try to block it out a little bit sometimes when I think it's getting a little bit tough and I'm trying to kick a goal or something like that. I hear her and I think, oh come on, mum, like calm down, calm down. I hear you. I know you're there. But no,
Oh,
yeah, her support, never goes unnoticed.
yeah, I love that so much. So you mentioned earlier about the way that the NRLW has grown and it continues to grow every season. So when you think about where the competition started and where it's at now, what excites you the most about where women's rugby league is heading?
I guess that probably like we're not too far away from probably being full time. I know there's still some time, definitely 100%. But when we first started in 2018, it was only a dream. Like really, it was
Mhm.
literally something that we only ever got to think about, not something that we probably ever thought that could actually happen. And I guess now I'm at a time in the career where like it truly can happen, and I do hope it happens in my time. But if it doesn't, like there's so many young girls that are coming through that that we're paving the way for, that is really exciting to see that that they're going to be the next generation. And hopefully when it gets to that point, like the game is just at such a strong point and we have more bums on seats in the crowd and more people cheering the women on, and they're early for the games or coming to standalone games. I think that's what is really exciting to see.
Yeah. I've had this question. I've asked a few different people and people have very differing opinions. Would you prefer a double header or a standalone NRLW game where you draw your own crowd?
Yeah, that is a tricky one to answer. I probably would like a double header. I just think right now where the game is still like probably get a few more people there early to come to the game if we probably have a men's game after that. But yeah, it is nice to play a standalone game. I mean, I don't mind playing standalone games at somewhere like Leichhardt. That's an awesome place to play. Or another one where could we play Cogra? That's another
Mhm.
place that is not too bad to play if it's a standalone. It's probably a little bit hard when you play at a really big stadium and then the cameras are facing the area where no one's sitting, and then people are thinking no one's there, but
Yeah.
they're all on the side where the cameras are. So I think that's probably the hardest part for us right now, is just people don't realize like how many people are actually there because the cameras are facing the wrong way. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, as long as people are there supporting us, then that's all that matters.
Yeah. So we do have one doubleheader this year coming up in a couple of weeks when you guys play the Warriors and the boys play the Dragons. So we'll be
Yeah.
doing our best to drum up as much to try to get people out to Combank as early as possible to support you guys because yeah, by then I think it's round six for NRLW. So, peak point in the season where we want to keep building that momentum going into the last couple of games. So finally, if you could leave West Tigers fans with one message as they get behind the team for the rest of the season, what would that be?
I guess like I probably said it to the girls a couple of weeks ago, and I'll say it to you guys now, but this is a new era of the Tigers. We're not the same team as, well, they're not the same team as they were last year or the year before that. We're all in this year. If there's a fight on the field, we're all in.
Mhm.
No one's getting pushed around from our team this year. We're making sure that, everyone's got everyone's back. And I think that's the most important thing. So, yeah, we're the new era of the Tigers. And hopefully, we can get some more wins under our belt and get some more supporters and just show the fans that, we mean business this year.
Amazing. It just gives me goosebumps listening to you guys talk about how pumped you are for the season and how the desire to win is the front of everybody's mind. And when I spoke to Kezzy a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
she's like, "No, we're winning the comp. There's no other, there's no other
Yeah,
goal.
that's the
We're
plan.
we're bringing home the trophy. So we'll be behind you 100% of the way. And as I said, we will get out there to Leichhardt Oval next Sunday night as you guys take on the Roosters, which will be another tough game. You'll be 3-0. You'll be
Yep.
the only team 3-0 at that point, and then we'll be 4-0 because we'll knock the Roosters off as well. So, thank you again so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed learning a little bit more about you, and I hope all of everybody listening also has the same. So, good luck on the weekend. Fly up to Brisbane, and know that we're all cheering you on from down here, and would all love to be up there with you. But best of luck for Sunday and for the rest of the season.
Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Wow. So, Gary, what did you think about Raecene's interview there?
You did an amazing job of that, Kelly, and she was absolutely outstanding. The big thing that always comes across when I hear from NRLW players, and it came across from Raecene beautifully today, is the respect and the ownership they take in the game, and inspiring that next lot of players to come through. Now, I'm a father of a 13-year-old daughter, and she won't ever play rugby league. She's not someone who's going to play rugby league, but to have leaders at our club who a girl like my daughter can look up to and see that even in a male-dominated area, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything.
Yeah.
And we've heard it from Kezi in the past and hearing it from Raecene today. Someone who in a male-dominated area growing up, there was no NRLW to look for when she was growing up. And to put your mind to it and not only make the NRLW, but go on and be the best player in the world and be the Dally M winner, that's huge. And I get inspired by listening to people like her speak. And I can't imagine what that does for young teenage girls or even younger.
Yeah, I'm so excited. As Raecene said, there's such a good crop of young girls coming forward, and we see it at the club. And the West Tigers have players all the way down to the Lisa Fiola, where there's 16-year-old girls, and then we see the local clubs. There's so many more girls playing local rugby league as well now, and to see that they've got this pathway all the way through to the top of the league, and as Raecene said, in not too distant future, these girls will be paying as full-time athletes.
And that's because of the hard yards that people like Raecene has done. Like she's not going to get all the rewards from her hard work, but that next generation coming after her are. And that's what I find inspiring about it. There's an unselfishness to the NRLW players. Every NRLW player I've ever met came across with Raecene just then, that it's not just about them. We've been to fan days, and they're the most beautiful fan days I've ever been to because of that ownership and that love of the game and that passion for, not for me, for those people who are coming after me. And I think it's really inspirational.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the game that just happened with the girls. So I spoke to Raecene a little bit about the Cowboys game. So 2 rounds in, the girls are 2-0, which is an amazing start to the season. So the girls went up to Townsville last weekend to play the Cowboys, and the final score was 30-18. So there was a little bit of a shuffle around with the squad just before kickoff. So Faith ended up moving into the number 6, so into the 5/8 position because of Lasana's injury. We still haven't had a full update on Lasana just yet, but it's sounding like she'll be missing for a couple of games. And then we had Portia drop off the bench and Brooke and Harmony moving onto the bench. But finishing the game with 30-18, Faith basically just took that game by the horns, and she had an amazing, amazing game. She had 8 line breaks, a forced dropout, and not just one, but a hat-trick, 3 tries, the first hat-trick since the third hat-trick for the club. So the first being, now I'm going to forget, I had it written down and I've forgotten, but Caitlin Turnbull did also score a hat-trick. It was Leanne Tafuga in our first season. So the side did very well, considering the Cowboys actually finished with a 53% of possession, and they had a lot of tackles in their red zone. They unfortunately just weren't able to capitalise. So Rach and I every week do our spark, our frustration, and our talking point. So Rach sent through hers as well. So the spark, so the moment, the player, or the effort that stood out. So Rach's was Faith. She said that she's becoming a really dynamic and versatile player, a real standout performance, basically when she was only supposed to be coming off the bench. What was your spark for that game?
Look, Rachel stole my thunder because it was 100% Faith, and it wasn't just coming in and performing well. She came in, she played halfback, she played hooker, she scored tries from both. She was absolutely outstanding, and it's going to be really interesting over the next month that it looks like Lasana's going to be out, it's a different way of dealing with it by actually playing someone at half and then moving them into hooker when you want to make your hooker chain and bringing someone else into half. But it worked really well on the weekend. I thought Brooke, when she came on, did a really good job in the halves as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the coaching staff deals with that over the next month.
Yeah, I was very excited for Brooke. So she obviously missed all of last year with that knee injury that she suffered in the end of the 24 season. And to see her get that beautiful try assist at the end of the game where basically it's obviously a play that they've been working on because it was almost exactly pinpoint the same try assist that Lasana had both to Shaylee Bent to score in those last couple of minutes of the game. My spark was my girl Salah. I thought she was an absolute machine. She ran for over 110 metres, had 5 tackle breaks. She got over the line twice. Unfortunately, she was denied the first time with a strip, but she got there in the end, and there was nobody stopping Salah from scoring in that game.
And that try she did score, that whole set leading up to, because straight after the second try we scored, and we went the full length of the field, put up the kick, got the ball back. But the forward running from all our players in that set was absolutely immense. And Salah is absolutely outstanding. I don't know how they left her out of that New South Wales side.
Still shaking my head on that one.
She deserves to be in that New South Wales side. She showed on the weekend why she deserves to be in that New South Wales side. I think she's in for a big season.
I did actually say that at the beginning, but like when the whole New South Wales thing was happening, I think it's going to spur Salah on to probably her best season of the year by not getting that jersey, and it's only going to reward us in the end.
The intensity of her runs on the weekend, like I wouldn't want to be tackling her. I'm sure no one else wants to be tackling her. She's absolutely a punish in the middle of the field.
She was on a mission. So the frustration, so the one area that still needs improvement. So Rach said that we're still yet to punch out a 70-minute performance, but it's only round 2. So this needs to improve in the next 2 weeks, coming up against the Broncos and the Roosters, where you basically need to compete on every play. What was a frustration for you out of this game?
Yeah, it was just a few of the errors, a few drop bombs and a few errors coming out of our own end put us under pressure, especially in that 20 minutes to the 10-minute mark to go. That gave the Cowboys a chance to actually get back into the game, and they almost took it. They started to come back into the game, and it wasn't until we got into that last 10 minutes we were able to put the game away finally. A game that, with the way the Cowboys played, despite them having the majority of the field position, we should have went on with that game and finished that game off a little bit better than we did.
Yeah, I agree. The scoreline definitely didn't reflect the determination that we played, but also it did reflect how clunky the Cowboys were as well. So we were actually quite lucky in a lot of respects that the scoreline wasn't very different. They obviously had that first try overturned because the player, Fran Goldthorpe, was offside. Yep. But yeah, for me, it's still a little bit of our edge defense. There's still a few things that we need to tighten up on those edges, because that's where 2 of those late tries came perfectly just straight around the outside of our edge players to score. Thankfully, it was scoring in the corner, so it made it difficult for their kicker. But you can't give a team like the Broncos or the Roosters that amount of space around the edges, or they're just going to run around us all day.
And you can't give a side like the Broncos the amount of ball that the Cowboys had on the weekend. And you're right, despite us not having the majority of the ball, we still outperformed them metage-wise. So that shows that if we could have controlled the ball a little bit better, we would have run straight through them the entire game.
Yep. The last one is the talking point. So the biggest discussion point coming out of this game. So Rach said that there seems to be a real sense of unity, pride and commitment to the jersey this year between the girls. You can tell that this is a close team, and it's a true credit to the entire football department and the players. So what about your talking point?
So my talking point coming out of this game is kind of how we replace Lasana. I know it was a late withdrawal last week, but are we going to continue to make that move where we start with Faith at half, and then when Salma comes off, we put her into hooker and bring Brooke on? I don't know how the longevity of that, it's a big change in your spine to be making every week just to get your hooker a rest. So I'll be really interested to see what Sandy kind of does around that over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Mine's sort of on the same vein as Rachel's, but it more follows on with Raecene's 50th and just the way that the team got behind her. Like, it was only her second game with the team, and I don't know if you saw on Instagram where they all got their shirts made up, and she rocked up to a team meeting, and even
Hey,
Sandy.
I did see that. I'm not a Instagram person, but I did see that.
Yeah, and even, as Sandy brought her in, took his jacket off, and they all had Raecene 50 shirts on, and then there was footage of her parents, as she said, doesn't matter where they play, they're there. And so they were up there with their Raecene shirts and their sports heads of Raecene. And I just think it's amazing and shows what kind of impact she's having to the side that the girls have got around her in that way after such a short period of time.
It's very clear out on the field that she's our on-field leader. She's that general. Kind of, we've spoken to in the men's game, we need a half who controls it. Raecene controls that game beautifully. And I was actually a little concerned when we signed her. Like, her form hasn't been great the last couple of years.
Which she admitted herself.
Yeah, and I was worried when she came to the club, but the form she started this season in is absolutely outstanding. And her goal, as she mentioned in the video, of winning that Dalian Halfback of the Year, it's been a great start the year. She's
already got 7 points, so she's on her way. So were you expecting us to be 2-0 after 2 rounds this year?
No.
And
part of that is I was concerned about our signings that came into the club, but I think they've all making an impact on the field. Charlie Bent's been absolutely excellent. Wheeler's been great, and Raecene McGregor is probably one of the best signings we could have got across to the club. And what it's done for me the last couple of weeks is it's taken a little pressure off Kezi Apps.
Yeah.
The fact that we've been able to push a couple of players back to the bench who were in our starting side, and Kezi's not having to do as much work. Like, she's nowhere near as dominant out on the field now, but I think that's better for her game.
Because when she needs to be, she's
correct.
She's there.
And when we shift to her edge now, plenty of energy, plenty of impact. So I'm really liking what we're seeing so far.
So what has impressed you the most out of the team to this point?
Yeah, it's the involvement of Raecene. And it may be that it may sound like just because you've just interviewed her, I'm giving her a little bit of a rap, but I don't think anyone can deny that her impact she's had on the field. Beautiful running game, beautiful step, really nice short ball that she's thrown a couple of times, put Wheeler for a really beautiful hole that led to a mistake, but absolutely outstanding. And I think that's the biggest change, having that genuine halfback. And what I think that's going to benefit, I'm really disappointed that Lasana's out. Lasana's my favourite NRLW player in the game. I absolutely love watching her play. But that chance to play with someone who has that experience, I would love for her to be getting that opportunity right now, because I think there's a lot that she can learn from Raecene.
Definitely. And we saw that in the first game. It just really allowed Lasana to go back to her natural running game, and she wasn't worried about the kicking, but when she needed to, she's got such a powerful boot on her. But yeah, I'm hoping that it's only a couple more weeks, and then we do have the problem of, what do we do with Faith? What do we do with Lasana? Because it's a nice problem to have when you've got such amazing depth.
Yeah, look, at this point in time, and things could change over the next few weeks that Lasana's out, Faith goes back to that bench spot and goes into that hooker rotation with Salma, because that's a beautiful one too as well. Salma's playing really nice football, a lot more kicking than I've traditionally seen from her, and then to have Faith go in there and replace her, I think is absolutely perfect.
What I really love about Salma and Faith in the hooking role is they both have such a good instinct of when to run and when not to run. And I think that's something that we've missed in the girls' side, is that, normally it's just get the ball, pass it, and hope that somebody else can take a run. But they are really looking for opportunities to catch the markers offside, which they did a couple of times on the weekend. But also Faith, those two of those tries were just complete fakes and straight through that hole that opened right up for her.
The other thing I've been really surprised about from the side so far this season is the shape we're playing with. You look at most West Tigers sides we've had, including our NRLW sides in the past, but having a look at our men's side at the moment, the shape and the speed of our shape, the speed we shift the ball and the speed of our runners and the intensity of our runners off that shape is absolutely fantastic to watch. And I didn't expect to see that from this side. again, I'm going to give Raecene a rap. The way she bites into the line and then feeds out to her outside backs is allowing that.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's a lot of buy-in in the way we're playing our football.
Yeah. What about areas that we still need to improve on? We've sort of mentioned a couple of things, but is there anything in particular that you think we need to really work on before this game in particular?
Well, especially this game, that 70-minute game that Rach mentioned in her notes, you can't afford against a side like Brisbane, a side that, now I don't want the players to think this, but as a fan, I look at the Broncos and I look at the Roosters, and to me that tells me it's not a fair competition with the players that they're fielding.
Yeah, Rach and I have spoken about this at length, but 100%.
So for a team going up against them this weekend, you can't play a 55-minute to 60-minute game. You need to be on for that whole 70 minutes. Otherwise, during that time, they're going to put in 2, 3, 4 tries on you and blow the game away. So it's really crucial that we get that right and we can play for 70 minutes. They look fit. So I don't think it's a fitness issue. You have a look at the pre-season training camp video that the club put out. I can't remember what it's called now. I keep getting last year's one called Ambush stuck in my head. I don't know why I'd get that stuck in my head, Kelly. I don't remember what it's called. But I can't remember what this one was called. But the work that they've put in the pre-season, which is a really short pre-season, but they look fit. And I hopefully don't see them fading out of games like we've kind of seen so far.
That was one thing I was concerned about with giving the Cowboys so much ball, was being in Townsville, middle of the day.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
But they didn't drop off in intensity in defence, which I thought was a really good testament to their fitness.
Yeah, and we've spoken a lot about their attack so far. We haven't given that defence the credit that it deserves. They had a period where they probably let in tries they shouldn't have. But the Cowboys had a lot of ball on it, especially in that first half and through the start of that second half. And we pushed them away time and time again. And the line speed and the first contact is absolutely first class. So credit to the girls.
Yeah, very excited. Let's look at quickly the other games that happened on the weekend. So the Brisbane Broncos and the Sharks played the first game of the weekend, and the Broncos held off a late-spirited fight back from the Sharks to win 22-16. So they are also 2 wins from 2 starts. Tamika Upton scored her 50th try in her 52nd game and her 50th try assist. So she actually scored a hat trick. So I don't know. I think there was one other player that scored. So she obviously was involved in that. So all 4 of the tries she was involved in. Absolutely generational player, insane. And we come up against her this weekend. So very exciting. The Titans then had their first win of the season with a dominant 36-10 win over the Bulldogs at Accor Stadium. So they basically controlled the contest from start to finish. They totally turned around their issues from round 1. They had an 83% completion rate, which was quite impressive, and 7 offloads. Jamie Chapman then took it one step further. So by this time, Faith and Tamika Upton had scored their hat tricks. So Jamie Chapman decided she was going to score 4. The Roosters then made it back-to-back victories with a very hard-fought win over the Newcastle Knights. So it was a 12-10 win, with the only deciding points being an unsuccessful conversion from Kira Dibb. So the Roosters scored all their points in the first half, and then the Knights scored all their points in the second half. So it was very, as they say, a game of 2 halves, that one.
If you're at that game, you want to be sitting at a certain end of the field.
Yes. Otherwise, you would have seen no football all night. The Raiders then also continued their unbeaten start to the season. So a 42-16 victory over the Warriors. So down in Canberra on Sunday morning, the Warriors are missing Gail Broughton, Mele Hafanga. They're missing they're probably the hardest hit NRLW side at the moment in terms of injuries. So they really, really struggled to match it with the Raiders. They ran in 8 tries. I watched that game. It was quite impressive from the Raiders. And then the Dragons opened their account with their first win of the season, a 22-8 victory over the Eels at Wynn Stadium on Sunday afternoon. Similar kind of thing to the Roosters Knights games. The Dragons scored all of their points in the first half, and then nothing in the second. They were able to keep Parramatta only to 1 try in the second half, but no points for the Dragons in the second half of that game. Do any of those results surprise you at all?
The closeness of the Brisbane Cronulla game. Brisbane, for me, you have a look at their squad. Outside the Roosters, they're well ahead.
They've got the rest of the Origin players.
Yep, pretty much. And the fact that game was so close, it actually concerns me a little bit about this weekend. Brisbane were off in that game, and I don't think you're going to get them off 2 weeks in a row. So I'm a little bit concerned about their poor form. Well, not poor form, but their off form last week going into this weekend.
I think the weather had quite a bit to play with it as well. Yeah. It was cold, it was windy, it was rainy. Tamika actually mentioned that in the post-game press conference that they weren't expecting those kinds of conditions. Has anybody exceeded your expectations so far?
To be honest, the side that's exceeding our expectations right now is us.
Yes.
And I really didn't expect us to be performing the way we are. So, yeah, it's us.
Mm-hmm. Which team do you think has the most work to do so far? And it is only 2 rounds in, but...
The Warriors coming over that injury run they've got, the game against Canberra will really dent their confidence. So, it's probably the Warriors.
The Warriors. And if you could pick 2 teams to play in the grand final today, who are you taking?
I don't think anyone who supports NRLW isn't taking anyone other than Brisbane and the Roosters.
Yeah, unfortunately. But hopefully, as Raecene said, if you get in the finals, it's a whole new ball game.
And it is. And football isn't one on paper.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the Roosters and the Broncos being far and away better than everyone else on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But football's not one on paper.
No, it's not, thankfully. So this weekend, the West Tigers are heading up to Brisbane to take on the Broncos. As we said, they're actually playing out at Totally Workwear Stadium, so not at Suncorp, on Sunday with a 1:45 kickoff. So we have been lucky to name the same 1-17 as those who ran out against the Cowboys. So Faith will start with the number 6 on her back, even though she played most of the game in the 5'8" position on the weekend. Emily Bass has also been named on the wing, even though she came off a bit late in the game with a lower leg issue, but we haven't heard any updates. So there still could be changes to the team. But at the moment, that's the 1-17 as it's been named, and updates will come out on Saturday, the 24 hours before, and then again on Sunday morning. Do you like the fact that we've been able to stick with the same side?
Oh, 100%. What's going to be really important for this squad, and I think we saw it with our men's squad, is injuries in the NRLW, because it's such a short season, can have a huge impact on your success and failure. You don't have... If you have a player like Lasana out for a month, that's a big chunk out of the season, where in the NRL it's a small part of the season. And playing that shorter season, injuries can have a huge, huge problem. So anytime we can go back-to-back, especially for a side that has so many new players in it, getting those combinations going and getting the players used to playing together is really crucial. Mm-hmm. So it's very important that we can field as close to our strongest lineup most weeks.
Well, basically, we haven't had to change the team since round 1. No. So apart from Lasana dropping out, but Faith played quite a bit of that round 1 game in the hooker role after Salma copped that nasty head knock. And then Portia did play that game, but Portia has now dropped off the bench, and we've had Harmony and Brooke come in. So apart from those 2 players on the bench, there hasn't been a huge change to the starting lineup apart from that number 6 jersey.
And especially like the NRLW, because they have such a short preseason as well, having that consistency in your side in the first couple of rounds, because I'm sure the coaching staff, I'm sure Sandy's still trying to implement stuff that they want to be doing this year, where NRL sides go in quite prepared into their season, but the NRLW sides, I think, because of the structure of their preseason, probably going a little underdone because they just don't have the time. So it's really crucial to get these players on the field together.
Yeah, Raecene mentioned in the interview that she came in November.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was more just – that was when Sandy signed. That was when – so technically when he started. So Charmaine mentioned that players were invited / encouraged to come in to train and to get together before the actual preseason date. It's only a 6-week preseason.
It's
so
really short.
It is very, very short in the grand scheme of things.
And not only is it short, because they're not full-time.
No, it's stupid hours.
So they've got to do it around work or study or whatever else is they're doing. So it's a shorter preseason, but it's also not as time intense preseason as well.
Yeah, which is why something like that 3-day camp was
Crucial.
really, really crucial for us. Where do you think this game against the Broncos will be won and lost?
Look, you got to control when you have a look at the experience and the caliber of players that you have in this Broncos side. You've got to control those players. You got to control Upton. You got to Southwell. Ali Brigginshaw, who's one of the most experienced players in the competition and is still playing decent football. Like, it's so hard to control those players. Like, even if you control the middle of the field, the Broncos just have class out wide, and it's going to be a really tough ask. It's a really good test for this side. Like, I'm very excited about what we've shown in the first 2 weeks of this competition. This is the test where you get to go against the best, and we got it the week after as well with the Roosters.
Yep.
The next 2 weeks, we really find out where this side is and what changes have these personnel changes and the coaching changes, what impact that's had on this team. It's a very exciting weekend this weekend.
I don't think we could have had a better start to the season to face the Broncos in round 3. Like, coming off 2 wins, the girls would be full of confidence, but also they said they know themselves that wasn't their best game on the weekend. So they're not going to go in thinking that, we've won 2-0, we're sweet. They're still going to go in knowing that they need to do work in order to really face those Broncos. Apart from we've already sort of mentioned these, but who is your player that you're going to look out for this weekend from our side? Who are you most excited to watch?
Well, I think it's got to be Raecene.
Welcome to the Raecene.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's all about her. She might as well come in and join the pod, Kelly. But no, look, I think she's crucially important to us, especially we've got an outstanding forward pack. That forward pack, you have a look at that, the way they were able to go through the middle of the Cowboys on the weekend. If we get any kind of platform that Raecene can play off, then it does make it a chance of an upset. We've just got to get out there. We're going in as underdogs. This forward pack should go out there, rip in, and give Raecene a little bit of room. And I think I'm not going to say we're going to win the game, but let's keep it close. Let's put ourselves in a position in that last 10 minutes that we can pull off an upset.
So if we can beat Brisbane in Brisbane, what do you think that says about the West Tigers in the NRLW competition?
Look, now, I got all excited after a few rounds of the NRL earlier in the season. And
I think we all did, Gary.
I think I may have had us at one point in the top 4 for the NRL. So I'm not – if we win this weekend, it shows that this change in our club, it shows that the new players we've brought in, it gives legitimacy to this early season form. And it's not just the early season form. Like, what did they put through the Dragons in the preseason game as well? They haven't put a foot wrong yet. So if we can back that up with and it doesn't necessarily have to be a win for me. If we can back that up with a strong performance where we're highly competitive against a really strong Broncos side, to me that says we're a genuine team. We're a genuine threat in this competition. So very excited to see it this weekend.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. As I said, I wish I was able to go to Brisbane, but I'll be cheering very loudly from my lounge room.
Yeah, I think my wife would kill me if I told I was going to Brisbane for a game of football this weekend.
So the Harvey Norman Women's Premiership had their first win on the weekend as well, which is very exciting. So it was round 5 for them, playing against the Dragons in Cogra. They finished with a 30-8 scoreline. So Rach has sent through some notes on the game for us, thankfully, because neither of us have had a chance to watch it, unfortunately. But she said that the Dragons scored the opening try after the Tigers had most of the ball for the first 10 minutes. From there on, our forwards completely dominated the game, allowing space for our outside backs to make big yardage and post-contact meters. Both of our starting forwards in Bianca Bennett and Folau Vaki laid the platform, and the forwards who came off the bench, including and I apologise if I mispronounce any names, but Pesa Lily, Star Combo, and Tyler Amiatu continued on that same trend. Leah Ollerton and the bench dummy half Dawn Tui, who was named for Australian Schoolgirl, so massive congratulations to Dawn, were able to make plenty of meters, helping the forwards get on the front foot. Both of our halves, so Jatea Faifua, who has played in NRLW, dropped back into Harvey Norman, and Amira El Abdallah, both set up tries with a strong passing game. Breeze at the back was dynamic and her game continues to improve. Her ability to slice through the defence makes her a dangerous player for the opposition, and she was player of the match. Both Linnea Daniel and Taylor Amiatu look like good prospects, and both of those are development players for our NRLW side in the forwards and can hit the line hard. So Tia Jordan Vasilovsky scored 3 tries, our winger, and 2 tries to Taylor. Linnea Daniel was the other try scorer. So an amazing game from the girls by all accounts. Now for this round, it is now 6:02 p.m.
So they've started?
They have started.
Almost half-time?
It would be almost half-time. We'll be 3 minutes off half-time, literally 600 metres down the road.
That's why Rach isn't here. She's off watching it. I had to fill in.
Yep. So the girls are actually taking on the Panthers tonight. So just like the NRLW for the Panthers, the Panthers girls are sitting at the top of the ladder after last week's win. However, after last week's win, our girls moved from 11th into 8th position. Last round, the Panthers beat the Magpies, the Wentworthville Magpies, 54-8. And in the last 2 games, they have a score differential of 96-10.
Wow.
Yes. Pretty amazing. So of the 11 tries scored in their previous match, there were 10 individual try scorers.
Really?
Yes. So just proving that they have strike across the park.
Are they stopping and like sharing the ball around? And
They're like those players that, they get over the line and then they find someone to
just
pass the
it to your
ball
friend?
to. Yeah. So everybody gets a go. Let's have a look. Oh my God, our girls are in front.
Really?
It's 16-8. We're at 29 minutes. So there you go. Live update. The girls are winning. So very exciting. We'll see how they're going at the end of the pod though. So yeah, we haven't had much of a chance to see much Harvey Norman yet, have you?
No, not this year. So too many football commitments, really.
Come on, Gary.
I haven't had a chance to catch those games so far this year.
No, they've got a couple of games coming up at Lidcombe, which is exciting. But I think are you getting on the bus? Are you on the bus to Canberra?
No, I'm not on the bus to Canberra.
Well, the girls are playing at Lidcombe that afternoon if you're not on the bus to Canberra. All right, speaking of getting on the bus.
Thanks, Ivan.
Yeah, let's have a quick chat about the girls. We've just done that. We've done a lot of chatting about the girls. Let's have a quick chat about the boys.
Do we have to?
As I said, quick.
Do we have to?
So yes, round 19 was not a good time for West Tigers supporters against the Warriors out at Campbelltown. I didn't even write down the score. We scored 6 points. They scored more than 6 points, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. They scored 7. It was only 7, Kelly.
Right.
Field goal won the game.
Yeah, let's go with that. So we'll go through again the spark, the frustration, the talking point. So the spark, Rachel's spark was Haywood. Superb on debut. She thought that that we should have waited a bit longer, especially against the Warriors, but he did not look out of place at all. He was a complete natural. His service out of dummy half I thought it was top notch.
Yeah, I think I'm the perfect replacement for Rach because she's stolen all my, just by texting them in, all my kind of topics. But yes, Haywood was simply outstanding. That's one of the better debuts I've seen. What really impressed me most was his service out of dummy half. A nice long ball out in front of forward on the advantage line, getting on the ball. A little bit happy-like in that regard, the way he was able to bring our forwards onto the ball. Super impressive with that debut. And I said earlier in the season that I wouldn't have played him at all this year. And he hasn't played a lot of New South Wales Cup. He's mostly been in flag and moving up and down between the two. But it's hard to see him not being in the side for the rest of the season after that debut. So fingers crossed he can back it up this weekend because it was an outstanding debut.
Of course, he will be in the 9. He'll be he's expected to start. He's named to start, whether or not that.
Yeah, I would almost still start him even if Appy is back, and just give Appy that. I'm really surprised. Like Appy was meant to be out a month, and he's missed 1 game so far.
Yeah, I saw him train on Tuesday. I can't really remember how much contact he got into, but he had the pink singlet sort of shoved in the back of his shorts.
Yeah,
so
just hiding it.
He was like, I'm here, guys. But the big thing that I loved about Jared was he also wasn't afraid to tackle those Warriors players. And there's some big boys in that side.
And they targeted him.
Thinking
Like,
that they
went
could
after
run
him.
over him,
Yep.
and he stood his ground. And the other thing I really loved, that there were, I think someone said it was almost 200 people there for him. And I saw people posting on socials afterwards, and a friend of mine posted the story and said, you know, you couldn't meet a nicer guy. And she's a primary teacher, and he was actually an SLSO at the school that she taught at. And so a lot of those people that were out there were people from their community that he's got to know during his time out there. And I just thought that was great. And just really nice to see a young kid with his head screwed on right. We saw in that doco at the beginning of the year that everybody saw that and said he'll be our future captain at some point. And it's really nice to see him have that support network that we're able to get out there.
Yeah, I met his family out at Liverpool earlier in the year, and lovely, lovely people. And I can see why he is considered such a lovely guy if he's come from his parents. I spoke to his dad for about 60 minutes sitting at Lidcombe Oval. And
sorry, Mr. Haywood.
yeah, he probably didn't enjoy it, but I really enjoyed it. And he made Jared come up and introduce himself to me. That's the type of family they are. So he said, yeah. So just fantastic people, and to see him make that debut, and a guy that we've been talking about for a little while now. It's always exciting. I'm always been a person who loves watching young guys come through at a club. You watch them play in the lower grades, you watch them play in first grade, and then you watch them play in first grade. I remember doing that with Robbie Farrer and the like. And to see him come out and transition and translate his game that he's shown in the lower grades in the first grade already, it's really exciting to see.
What about the frustration? Just one. One area that still needs improvement. Rach just said the continued silly errors. The effort areas were down and lacking cohesion, particularly in the opening 20 minutes.
I'm really glad that last line wasn't in the red zone, because that's mine. Yep. It's the frustration of our inability to create space, especially on any kind of shape that we play, the slowness of it, and the way we don't engage defenders to actually hold them up so they can't slide across is really frustrating for me to watch. So really pleased Rach didn't steal mine again.
Yeah, mine was going to be similar to what you just said. There was that last 90 seconds, we were attacking the line. We had the opportunity to score just before halftime to close the gap. Jerome puts that grubber in, and there's nobody to be seen. And then we open the second half in exactly the same manner. Jerome passes the ball to Massey, who had a wide open gap, and he drops it. And it's like, do these guys even talk to each other anymore? It's
just so clunky, and you're right. It looks like that they don't actually communicate. I'm hoping now that kind of Jerome leaving the club stuff has been dealt with, and we saw Jerome's press conference today. I'm hoping that's the final kind of sentence on that, and that now the club can move forward, the fans can move forward, and that the team can move forward. Because I can't sit here and say that it hasn't had an impact on the players, that there hasn't been disharmony. Because looking from the outside in, it doesn't look like our players have all been on the same page for the last couple of weeks.
No.
So I'm hoping now that it's all put to bed, it's all decided, everyone's has had their say. I'm hoping now that the players can kind of come back together and we see an improvement in that area starting this weekend, because it's a very winnable game this weekend.
That is one thing from training on Tuesday, was that there were the jokes, there was the in-joking, there was the banter. Like, it didn't look like any of that was missing. So Jerome did sit at the very end of the signing table, though. He was maybe 2 or 3 from the end, and Bunty was on the very end. But the boys that sort of the rest of the players sort of all were in that sort of banterish kind of mood. But who knows, really?
Yeah,
I don't know anymore.
It's really hard on any sort of sporting field when it's not that you need to get on with everyone. It's when it's the opposite of that and there's tension between people. That's when it becomes hard. And we saw that game, the game against the Knights, where it looked like the ball barely went to Jerome, and it almost looked like, was it the Knights game?
Yeah.
And it almost looked like we're avoiding giving him the ball. And you couple that together with some of the things we've heard and then what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, and you start to wonder whether that tension had an impact on that.
Yeah.
And hopefully that now it's all put to bed, as I said a moment ago, that we don't have to hear any more about it. And the fact that the team doesn't have to hear any more about it, they can all get back on the same page.
All right, the talking point. So Rach said, how do we build up Campbelltown next year to be a fortress? What do the club, the fans and the members need to do? Because we've won 4 of the last 20?
Yep. You have to win games. Like that's the only way that you're going to fix the issue in Campbelltown is to win games. And some people will say that having a crowd that's disinterested or a crowd that's not Leichhardt Oval type mentality doesn't help you win games. The players need to take this on themselves.
Yeah.
If you want to really engage with that area, you really want to pack Campbelltown Stadium, then you need to win games. If we're winning games out there next year, what is it, 7 or 8 games where we're down to play there next year? If we're winning games and we're fighting for the 8, then that place will fill up. I have no doubt about that. So to me, it all comes down to winning. And I don't think the ground should have that big of an issue. Now, 100%, I've said it multiple times on Claws Out and on other pods that I 100% believe that the crowd at Leichhardt Oval can help get you over the line. You just got to find a way to win. And I think that will start to improve things, is just find a way to win.
Yeah, my talking point, you mentioned getting the crowd engaged. And so I'm going to shout out to Hammy and Morty from the Win, Learn or Draw pod, who had the pleasure of being ground announcers on on Friday night for that game and had a very, very difficult job trying to get the crowd revved up. And anytime they tried to start a chant, the Warriors crowd, they had their drums, even though Sean and I tried to tell them they couldn't bring them, but they didn't listen. And I think they did. I think they did a massive job. Such a tough crowd, such a tough venue, such a tough opponent to do that. But shout out to the club if you're looking for ground announcers for any NRLW games. Just kidding. No. Anyway, moving right along. This weekend, the boys are playing the Bulldogs on Saturday night at, I can never remember what it's called anymore. I want to call it ANZ,
Is it a core
Telstra,
now?
Stadium Australia.
It's a core.
So Benji's named the side with a few changes. We expected Strathfield and maybe Sam Weller to be missing, but they're both been named. They both also trained on Tuesday as well. Bunty Ofoa obviously isn't named because he's been suspended for that slight brain snap.
Slight? Mate, he hit him a week and a half late.
Yeah. So Whenua has been named to start, but and also, as we said, Jared Hayward has been named to start in the number 9 jersey with Josesi moving back to the bench. So the bench includes Latu, Ethan Roberts, who I'm excited. I saw him at training and I thought, he is somebody that we could really use in that second row. He's got some really nice footwork. Sabaj on the bench as well, along with Tino and Kit for the first time in the 19 jersey. Kit on Tuesday said he doesn't think he'll be playing. He's just making up the numbers. But, at least he is making up the numbers. And then we saw on the extended bench, Appy in number 22 with the hope maybe of coming into the game at some point.
I thought you were going to say Hope was on there too.
Oh, God, no.
For me, that bench looks a little bit weak. I think I said on Claws Out the other night that if it was up to me, I'd be pushing Sione into the front row and Pole back to the bench. And I would love to start Roberts. Has his issues defensively, but his footwork at the line is really nice. We saw him combine really well with Latu to set up Javon Andrews a couple of weeks ago in Cup. I think he has a lot of potential coming through and is at least highly likely to be that backup second rower next man up next year. So I would actually like to see us start with him on the weekend.
So if Benji only fixes one thing from last week, what would it?
One? Just one?
Okay, 2. What should he focus on the most?
At the moment, I think it's getting Adam Dewey and Luai playing well together and combining well together. We saw a couple of issues where there may have been some tense words between them on the field on the weekend. We heard Adam's kind of comments in the press conference that some people took to be a bit of a dig at Jerome. I think it's really important that our halves need to be playing together, need to be combining well. So I'd be putting a lot of focus into that relationship this week and making sure that it's nice and sound.
And what would the second thing be?
Oh, the second thing, you only wanted one.
I know, but you did say just one. So you figured you had more than one.
Look, if you can fix it in a week, that red zone attack needs a lot of work. So that's about 17 things to fix just in that one.
Yeah. All right. We've stopped doing score predictions because they just don't work. But if I was to ask you what your head says versus your heart, so your head first, your head says?
My head says the form we've displayed over the last month is the worst in the competition. And if we play that style of football, we won't beat any team.
And what does the heart say?
The heart says it's a game of football and you go out there and you find a way to win and you play with heart and passion and you can beat anyone. And the Bulldogs aren't anyone. They're a fairly poor football team at the moment. So go out there, put it on them, and I think we can get away with a win.
And we can't let Lockie Galvin win.
No, never. He never gets to win against the Tigers.
It has to be a win. So anyway, Gary, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, this evening. It's been so much fun chatting to you about footy again. I really, really enjoyed it. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the interview with Raecene. We'll be back next week to wrap up round 3 of the NRLW, where we will hopefully be celebrating the girls' 3-0 start to the season with a big win over the Broncos. And we'll also quickly give you an update on the Harvey Norman, if I can get it to reload. 16-14 at halftime. So the Panthers have closed it in, but we're still in front at halftime. So thank you, everybody. Make sure you get out to a game this weekend. I am wearing my Women in League jersey today. It is Women in League ground. So get out there and support all the women who support rugby league, and go the Tigers.